Morning girls and boys, or afternoon as it is now. Today we are going to be looking at toilets. You always get that time where you and the missus go out for a curry or something nice. You come back to the caravan, one of you is sitting there with your legs crossed. Normally the wife comes into the can, sits on there, makes a delivery, whacks the button, nothing happens. Now with an electric toilet there's a couple of bits we can look at. One of which being the fuse, the other one being a pump, either a broken pump or a blocked pump. So we'll do a bit of dismantling on this toilet and have a look. So the first thing we do is come out here and check our fuse. And that looks like a 3 amp fuse, purple, little spade fuse, and it comes out the hole. Yeah, little 3 amp. Now the fuse hasn't blown. As you can see, I'm sure most of us know how to look at one of these little spade fuses, little wire inside. Can be in an S shape, an N shape, all different shapes, but as long as that wire's not broken, the fuse ain't blown. So, pop that in. If the fuse is blown, replace it, press the button again. If it blows the fuse again, then you've obviously got something wrong somewhere else, which is more likely to be a jammed pump. So, you know, check your fuses first. Always put the same rated fuse back in. You can always look in your handbook and check what fuse is rated to what, just to make sure everything's how it should be, because you don't want to be putting the wrong fuse in it. So this one we've got a 3 amp. I'm pretty certain that'll be what the fuse was originally rated as when the Caravan was new. But like I say, always make sure you put the right size fuse in there. So fuse is okay. We're still pressing the button, nothing's happening. So we've obviously got something wrong with our pump. So we'll go indoors, start taking a few bits apart and have a look at what we've got. Right, so the first thing we want to do is remove this little panel at the top of the toilet here. So I'm using a screwdriver, but you're better off, you can get little tools for removing panels and cars and things, or you can just use something plastic. Use your screwdriver, just be careful because you don't want to take big chips out of your plastic. So we're prising this up, gradually working our way around it, like so. Then this little bit comes off. As you can see, there's 2 posts there, which this pushes onto. There's some sealant around it to stick it down a little bit. It's not to create a seal, I don't think. I think it's more to just help it stick down. Then you've got 4 screws, 2 at the bottom here. That's 1 out. Putting the plug in the sink and popping the screws in the sink. Make sure you put the plug in first though, otherwise you lose your screws. 2 bottom ones out. You've got these 2 top ones. Be careful when you're undoing these that they don't drop down into the toilet system, because you'll never get them back. Okay, and that's the top 2 out. So the 4 screws are removed. You've got this little bit here which you probably can't see on there, but it's just a little clip that goes over this plastic. We just pull that forward, take that out like that. Then we get a bit more involved. Now I'm just trying to see if we can get a bit of light down the hole so you can see exactly what I'm doing. Now over on the right hand side there, the pipe, there's 2 pipes that come out of this little filter on the top here. You can't actually see it at the minute. This little bit of kit round here I think is the filter. Now you've got this top plug, the top clip that clips the pipe in, so we pull that one out. Then further down, if I zoom in, right down the bottom there, you can see another clip and some blue, colour blue. That's the top of the pump, that light blue colour. So the bottom clip holds the pump into position, top clip just secures the pipe. Now the other pipe, which is this one that you can see here, goes over onto like a large nipple that sticks out. So what we want to do is just pull that pipe off of that nipple. As you can see, it's off there. And we want the pipes pulled out of the clips, which we've got this top one out and a little one right down the bottom, as you can see there. And then once we've done that, we get our hand in there and pull the whole lot out. On the bottom of that, will be this nice, disgustingly dirty, scummy motor. Now, what happens is, when you push this button, it would obviously flush, and that would work by spinning this motor, pumping the water up out the back here into your toilet. But what we would first do is give it a clean up, ideally, give it a wipe round, put tissues and cloths down if you need to, because it can be a bit messy. But what we're looking at is this end piece in the motor there. Right, now my one's freed up, but this did actually jam a while back, so it's nice and free, it's moving. You can see the little red wheel spinning in there. So what you need to do is, can you push the master for me? Brilliant. So now we've got this out, and we've pulled out. You can get a lot of this scum that's on here. You can see this is where your pink goes in the back here, your pink chemical. Obviously over time you get all this ganky, horrible muck all over it. So you can give it a clean up, wipe your bits and bobs up if you want to. Don't really make much difference, to be honest, you're never going to see it. And once you've pulled anything out of there, a bit of fluff, whatever, press the button and just check it's working. Because the last thing you want to do is put the whole lot back together and then realise it's not working. So we've got that spinning, everything's working lovely. So what we're doing is putting it all back in the reverse of what we originally done. Now, I don't think there's a specific order to do this in at all, but it can be a little bit fiddly. So we want that point. See it, that nipple that's sticking up? Yeah. Right. So then what we want to do is put that pipe back onto that nipple. So a little bit of persuasion. It should go on there pretty easy. A little push. And that should be on there. Is it on there all right? Help me light that way. Yep, that's on there okay. Now, what I'm going to do is push these two in the clips over here. Which I think you can see down there. You got the top one, which is that one. If it goes on there. Bit fiddly down here, kids. Right, that's the top one in. Yeah, so you've got your one pipe that comes down here, over and onto the top of that nipple. And then the other one goes into the top clip to secure the pipe, and right down the bottom there, as you can see, is the bottom clip to secure the pump. So that might need a little bit of persuasion, that one. There we go. And they're both on. So we've got the pump secured down at the bottom there in that clip, the top part of that pipe secured at the top, the other pipe running over and going onto the top of that nipple, and that is where your flush comes out of the back here and into your toilet. And then to put it back together is the reverse. Right, so we're just doing the reverse. So we're popping this plastic thing back in. It's got that little line along the back there. If you give it a little gentle push, it can click back in. And we've got our 4 screws. Always best to double check that your screws are all the same size, because again, you don't want you're putting metal into plastic, so if you're putting a screw in there that's the wrong size and it's too big, you're going to split the plastic. It's not the end of the world if that does happen, but obviously it wouldn't be perfect, and we like it to be perfect. So check your screws are the same size. They should be, but just in case. It's the bottom 2 in, top 2, 1, 2. That's our 4 screws in. Like I said, when we took it apart, you've got these 2 posts. Just give them a little touch with a screwdriver just to make that still, make sure they're still tight. These 2 gaps, these 2 holes, go on these posts on the top here. You're going to make sure this is on properly, because that seals your electrics behind your switch for when you're travelling and that, when all your bits and bobs are sloshing around in there. Don't want it coming out. Give it a little wipe round here for any dirt or overspilt, and then line the two posts up with the holes. Gently push it down, persuade it down to go. Give it a clean up, which I'll do nicely with some of my magic wipes that I love so much, and whack the button, and we're flushing. Jobs are good. So if your toilet gets stuck and it won't flush, then check your fuse. If your fuse is okay, check another fuse, put another fuse in it. Don't put a higher rating fuse in it, make sure you put the same size in it. This one's a 3 amp, as we saw. If your fuse is okay, come in, have a look at your pump, make sure your pump's not working. If your pump is jammed, there is a way of noticing, and that's if you put a couple of lights on, press the flush button. If the flush ain't working, don't leave it held down, but if you push it once and your lights go dim slightly, that means it hasn't blown your fuse, but the pump's jammed. So just go and check that fuse, but make sure your pump isn't jammed, because if you start holding the button down and your fuse isn't blowing, the next thing that's going to be burning out will be your wiring or your pump. So check those things first.